Viewer discretion is advised for this love-themed podcast. The content may contain discussions and sensitive topics related to relationships, dating, and love. Some content may not be suitable for all listeners, especially those uncomfortable with open and vulnerable conversations. We encourage our listeners to practice self-care and to reach out to a trusted friend or professional if they need support. You have no friends, you have me. Welcome to the Lost Lover Boy podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Lost Lover Boy podcast. I think we may have to start going back week to week, because I kind of miss you guys. I think we may have to start, cranking them out how we used to crank them out. Going forward, I want to, my hopes have always been to move it into a newer space, surround it with more vibrant energy, different energy, other people's perspectives, so we'll be bringing on guests and things of that nature. So I really, really look forward to that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to every single person who's been tuning in week to week, 2 week to 2 week, 3 week to 3 week, however you tuned it in. Thank you to everybody who felt it appropriate to go binge watch from episode 1 to be here now. And thank you to everybody who's new to the Lost Lover Boy podcast. Welcome to the safe space we attempt to create, Today's episode, how do I want to handle today? Today's episode is a different episode. Today's episode is more of a story time. I don't know if you remember like episode 2 when I told y'all what my planned engagement would be like. Today's a story time episode where I take you through this movie that I saw when I was like 10, 11, 12, 13, somewhere around that age. I was one of them motherfucking ages. I want to take you through this movie, so y'all can see the end of it, how I seen the end of it, how it's impacted my life, lessons I've learned from the movie. I go back and watch this movie often. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I may forget to add some details or forget to a few details in the movie, but forgive me. You can always go watch the movie yourself, or listen to this version of the movie. So I'm not gonna give the name away too early because then you cut the podcast, you go watch the movie. No, I'm just kidding. But this movie, it's a love movie. You guys know I love rom-coms. I love like romantic comedies, whatever the case is. But I love love in general, right? So I love love songs. I love love movies. And this movie specifically was one of the best love movies I've ever seen in my life. And if you love love the way I do, I hope you love it as well. But the movie starts off about this boy at first. It's primarily his, role. Like it opens up with him getting ready for school. He goes to school, and he has like a basketball game or something after school. He gets on the bus with his team, and they head over to another school because they playing like a rival school or something like that. The boy couldn't have been, it was grammar school. So he had to be like, 10, 11, something like that. But they're going over to play this other school. And, they create that like intense atmosphere where like sports is heavy and they making it all about basketball and da-da-da-da, on some like High School Musical shit. Remember when High School Musical showed you it was about basketball? They was dribbling real hard and practicing in layup lines, whatever the case is. They doing their layup line. He decides to run off and go get some water. Hey, coach, I need water. Coach tell him, in grammar school, they don't give you the bottles and shit like that. So he sprints off to go to the water fountain. He makes it to the water fountain. He bend down to get water. Boom. He bumps heads with somebody. He look up. It's this girl. And, he think nothing of it. But she goes, what did she say exactly? She goes, hey, you never heard the term ladies first? And I think she may have been like a little older than he was, probably like a year older than he was. But she's wearing a cheerleading uniform for the other team. So she's like, you never heard ladies first? And he's like, I'm so sorry. You first. So she ended up getting her water. He ended up getting his water. They end up shooting opposite directions to go back to the gym, whatever the case is. I guess it's like a school interest type, a team interest type thing. So the game's underway now, right? And he can't help but make eye contact with this cheerleader he bumped heads with the whole fucking game. And he like maybe, I think he scored probably like twice. You know, he ended up scoring twice. And the first time, the girl accidentally finds herself like clapping. You know, and they make eye contact about it. She smiled, da da da, whatever the case is. And then he scores again, and she's clapping and cheering and da da da, trying not to be too loud about it because she's cheering for the other team. And her best friend like, girl, he's not with us. He ain't on our team. Da da da. And she like, silence it down. Whatever the case was, I guess it was a great like introduction, to two people in a love story. Well, it was a great introduction in my opinion. But pay attention to how they met. I think that's a really big, important part of the movie. Well, I found it to be. I don't know how y'all found it. But they ended up going to she went to a school, and a year later, he ended up going to the same school. So he's a freshman, she's a sophomore, but now they're attending the same school. She's a cheerleader on the team. He's trying out for the team his freshman year. So as the cheerleaders are down there practicing, he going through like warm-up, and he's fucking ass. I'm talking about garbage. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to remember the exact facts. They end up speaking to each other during like that tryout period, and they end up like exchanging names. And she was like, I know I've seen your face before. And he tells her exactly where they met, exactly what had happened, and they laugh about it. His team had to end up losing to her, the team she was cheering for. So she laughing at him, telling him, y'all suck, y'all still lost, whatever. So after they do their little introduction, he goes back to tryouts, and he's better. You know what I'm saying? They say love makes everything better, but he goes back and he's better. And he's playing da-da-da-da and da-da-da. And after the whole thing's over, he ended up asking her out. And she tells him, I'm sorry, but I have a man. I have a boyfriend. Shot that down for him. Her boyfriend actually comes up. He's the actual star of this basketball team. You know what I'm saying? He's the actual senior that goes to the school, and he's the star of this basketball team. So whatever the case is, time ends up passing. It goes through his life and, about him being in school and da-da-da-da and all of these great things. Good student, you know what I'm saying? But his whole thing is he can't get over this interaction with this young girl. You know what I'm saying? He can't get over this interaction with someone else's lady. Like, bro, chill, bro. But I think what happens is the girl was supposed to go on prom with her boyfriend, but her boyfriend ended up being asked by another senior at the school. So he ends up taking the senior, and his girlfriend ends up calling it off with him because clearly you don't give a fuck about me. If you taking other motherfuckers to prom and you looking at me like I'm gonna embarrass you and I'm gonna make it seem like, the star basketball player shouldn't be, of course, you know what I'm saying? And they end up breaking up because of it. Bro end up hearing, the main character of the movie ends up hearing it from a friend of his that they broke up. He looking at it like perfect opportunity, right? So what he do, he decides to go jump on that fast, quick. And the girl's not in that space. Excuse me. The girl's actually not in that space. She just went through a breakup. She's trying to, bounce back from that. She's crying every night. It was safe to say she was in love with this young man, you know what I'm saying? For whatever that high school love could be. But she thought she was going to prom. She thought she was going to be there through graduation. And when they broke up, he act unfazed by it. Reason being, because he was going to college. They showed him having all these opportunities and da-da-da. But whatever the case is, so they talking, right? And the main character of the movie just solely decides to help her through that. He decided amongst himself, maybe I'll take approach as just a friend. And I'll just be a friend to her, and I'll see where that leads me. So they friends. They become best friends. So from his freshman year to her senior year, they best friends. He's a junior now, she's a senior. They best friends. He ain't had a girlfriend all of high school. He don't know what the fuck love look like, you know what I'm saying? She ain't had a boyfriend since, bro broke up with her. And now it's her time to go on prom. They casually kicking it. And she ends up asking him, do he want to go to prom? She was like, it's not that big of a deal to me. I don't really care. And he was like, try to play it cool. He like, I don't know. And then you can see what like, she was like, well, if you can't go, I understand. He like, no. I ain't never said that. So he ends up taking her. And from that prom night, you could really tell their friendship began to blossom into like a relationship. It was really that. They were slow dancing on the dance floor. He was getting her cheer. He was opening her door. Just that chivalry, aspect was shown in somebody that was a junior in high school. It was beautiful to see. But she began to get receptive to it, and it's funny because even still after that night, they had never gotten into a relationship. They did share a kiss, I think. I think they shared a kiss like around a dance floor time. I think it was actually on the dance floor or right before it. I'm gonna say it was on the dance floor. They was dancing, and I forgot the song that was playing at the time. Make It Last. Make It Last. I Keep Sweat. Y'all know that. Come on, don't act like y'all know that shit. Y'all know that. But Make It Last was playing, and they end up like sharing a kiss, whatever. It was a little awkward because he didn't expect it, and she was like expected it. Like, so like, it was a little awkward, off-putting, or whatever the case was, but they proceeded on about their night. They shared great conversation. It was more romantic conversation this time. And it wasn't like laughing off and da-da-da-da. Because you could tell like through their friendship, she was always trying to put him on with somebody. She actually had a friend that she had been trying to put him on with. And that friend actually saw them share a kiss, which is crazy. But whatever the case, fast forward. She ends up going to college. They like separate for a little minute. He's a senior in high school now, and he calls her up. They ain't spoke in a while, because life gets busy, he called her up and he asked her, do she want to go to prom? Now, the thing about this is, she like, I'm too old to be going to, prom and shit like that. He was like, I did it for you, do it for me. So she ended up doing it for him. She ended up going to prom with him. And funny enough, they back on the dance floor. Like you could tell it's real reflective to the year before. They back on the dance floor. He goes to the DJ and asks them to play Make It Last Forever. You know what I'm saying? And the DJ plays it. And now they doing the same dance that they were doing a year ago. And they kiss again, right? Yeah, it wasn't on the dance floor the first time. They kissed again. And this time it's different. He goes, they kiss. And he goes, I was a little more ready this time. And then he goes, I'm ready for a lot more. And then she's sitting there speechless. He done kissed the lips off her face. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it was a good one. It was a good one, right? But they end up getting a relationship. Fast forward. He ends up going to the same college she went to. They in a relationship, right? And this is where the movie begins to move a little faster. They go to college together, homecomings and, graduation and all of these things they start experiencing together to the point to where now they in college, and I think it's maybe their junior or senior year, they're living together. You know what I'm saying? When you know, you know. When you know what you want, you know what you want. After graduation, he ends up proposing. Graduation day. And I think that's a beautiful thing because now you have two things to be reflective of. And I'm sorry if I say a lot during this podcast, but this is me really trying to reflect on this movie. I'm trying to give y'all as much detail as I could. But he ends up proposing, And she ends up saying yes, like immediately. And, the thing I loved about this movie specifically, is they showed the ups and the downs. Like they show arguments that they would have during college about other college students that she may have been jealous of, or he may have been jealous of, or because she was still on the cheerleading team. He wasn't playing basketball no more. You know what I'm saying? But he was still attending games to clap for her. And it was actually like one game, she was like eyeing somebody else on the other team. I'm trying to make sure I recall it correctly. One of the boyfriend that she had early in the movie was a player on the other team. That's why she was eyeing him. And the character of the movie, he knew that. You know what I'm saying? He knew that this is her ex-boyfriend. There's some emotions being sparked up here. And when you get around your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, you start to like kind of do too much. You know what I'm saying? So she cheering a little louder than she used to. Clapping a little. She's trying to be seen. You know what I'm saying? And he knows this. So he catch an attitude about it or whatever. And they end up doing an argument about that. And of course, young being a college student and all of this shit like that, your mind ain't, let's fix the problem first. Your mind more so is, I want to get my point across. And this is shown like incredibly through this movie. And the reason I say everybody should watch this movie is because this movie shows you that every argument ain't that we can just fix it out of love. This is, we need to sit down and come to a communication as to if we want to do this or not. And I remember it being one point, she was like, I don't know if I want to do this. This is before the engagement and all of that. But she like, I don't know if I want to do this. And he's like, well, I'll give you some time. I know I do. And he ends up like apologizing for getting jealous about that situation. She ended up apologizing because she knows where the extra antics were coming from. Why the extra antics were coming? That's because, that was her ex-boyfriend who she thought, she saw some shit with. But after the engagement, life goes on and it's moving kind of fast. They end up like having a baby and his family loves her. I think his mother dies and he gets like real cold with her. He gets like less expressive than he's always been. He gets real like, I want to be with the boys. I want to be outside. I can't feel what I'm feeling. And these conversations with you trying to make me dig into it when I'm not ready to dig into it. So that was kind of like driving them apart. And this was before the wedding, So it was like super hard for him or whatever the case was. They end up, working through that, getting to the wedding. And, all that's on his mind is his mother's not there. And in the middle of the wedding, they showing him kind of spacing out from time to time. So like, it's his turn to read his vows and he's just like kind of stuck, to where eventually when he unfreezes, he takes his vows, ball them up, throw them, and he reads from right here, and I think that was so sweet because at first he talked about his mother and how his mother had always told him this was the one. And his mother had always preached to him that if you want something bad enough, you work towards it. And he ended up saying some shit like, that's why I'll forever be working towards loving you. That's why I'll forever be picking you. And time progresses. Yeah, they got engaged. They had a baby. I think they actually had like 2 kids. And it fast forwards to like life as adults. And she's working a job. He's working a job. He was working on like some corporate banking job. And I think she was like a preschool teacher. At the time, their kids was like around the age they met. But when the kids was old enough to where they didn't have to interact, like it fast forwarded, and when the kids was old enough to where they didn't have to interact with each other, with the parents necessarily, it left the parents to talk to each other. And another part about this movie, it did a great job in explaining the idea that love is not easy. It did a great job in explaining the idea that love is hard, love is difficult, love is trying, love is an effort. But baby, we got to make that effort to communicate with each other. And then one point their relationship got pretty bad. It was pretty like cut and drained, blah. It was real cut and bland and dry and boring and what most relationships turn into. But I think it was him who was like, we got to fix this. Like, I got to fix this before it ends in divorce. And they start to build it up again. Going out, doing things that they didn't normally do. The wife ends up getting like super sick. And I'm talking cancer sick. I think she had like pancreatic cancer or something like that. And she ended up in the hospital. You could tell she was trying to like fight through it and still teaching and this and that until one day she like passed out of school and they called the husband. The husband rushed to the hospital and then that's when he was told about the cancer or whatever the case was. But she knew, she had just never explained it to him. And in a lot of eyes, that's selfish, but my best assumption, she didn't want him to worry because that's what she ended up telling him later in the movie. Like, I just didn't want you to worry. I think something bad was gonna happen, da-da-da-da. And then he was like, you saying that until it has. Like, I'd rather you prepare me for what I need to see. I want all that comes with you. I don't want the good only. I need the good, the bad, the ugly. And, she's sitting there crying and she explaining it to him. And, yeah. But by the grace of God, they was good church-going folk and they prayed and they fought and chemo and she did all of these things. Eventually, she ended up getting better. All right? Eventually, she ended up being pushed to a better space. And, like most relationships do, when two people are in a bad space, it leads the others to believe it's all about them. So he began to believe that his needs weren't being met in these moments. And it was an unconscious thing, in my opinion. So one day he was out with his friends and there's these ladies at the bar and they like, yo, I want to know if you still got it, da-da-da. And he like, nah, man, I know I ain't got it no more. Mind you, his wife at home. And they end up talking him into it. He ended up going down there and flirting with the lady. You know what I'm saying? Just to show the homies he still got it or whatever. He ended up going down there and the lady ended up kissing him because I guess the pickup line he used was like, I don't remember it exactly, but it was so direct that it ended like, yeah, kiss me now then. You know what I'm saying? Or I think it was something about a bet and getting a kiss or some shit like that. But she ended up kissing him. And the moment she kissed him, he saw his wife's face. Right? So he ended up like pushing back or whatever the case was. He ended up going back down there with his boys and said, I'm so sorry. Saying so sorry to her. Went back down there with his boys and he ended up leaving, like rushing home, whatever. And his wife's like laying down, trying to take care of herself. And because she was the one who insisted he can go out with his friends. She insisted him that he go have a good time because all he's been doing is taking care of her. So he ended up getting home and he's having a hard time sleeping. He wakes up in the morning and the guilt from it is like eating him up. So he ends up explaining it to his wife what had happened. And she was super understanding about it. She just asked, did she kiss you or did you kiss her? And he said, I promise you she kissed me. And she was like, what had you flirting in the first place? And then he was like, there guys, and he like, she's like, I knew I ain't like his ass. I knew I ain't like his ass. She's like, I ain't like his ass in college like that. She ended up calling Derek and she ain't cussing him out or nothing, but she like, don't ever send my husband on no dead mission again. I'm the only one he's supposed to be kissing. And then Derek like, I ain't tell him kissing, whatever. But time goes by. She ends up beating cancer. Like she ends up ringing a bell, you know what I'm saying? Getting extremely better. And it's a very good thing. Very, very good thing. Super proud of her. So she ends up getting better. And what happens next is their life start to progress, right? Their life start to take up. They dating more than they ever have. They relationship with the kids, they found it, it's falling into sync. Everything is happening as good as it's been in a very long time. It's feeling new again because they got this like revitalized energy as to where life is short, right? So I might as well do it now because, and they loving each other and they choosing each other and they this and they that. So what happens next is it ends up fast forwarding to the end of the movie, right? She ends up getting sick again, right? And now that she's sick again, she ends up getting sick again. And I guess this time around, it's super bad. You know what I'm saying? This time around, it's super, infectious. It's spreading fast. And it's the end of the movie now. You know what I'm saying? It's a great movie. I missed so many fucking details, but forgive me for missing all them details. I tried to give you what was most important. It gets to the end of the movie and it's really bad, but she ends up getting taken to the hospital. The whole family's at the hospital at this point. It's him and it's his wife sitting in the room. The doctors comes in and they like, I think it's time we probably start saying our final goodbyes. She had slipped into like this coma ordeal, and everything. It was super sad. I'm talking about super sad. But whatever the case is, imagine it's him sitting on the edge of the bed, his wife laid out, he's crying, and she's just motionless. And out of nowhere, this like ray of light, his beam shines over the screen, and he hears this voice that tells him, "You've always loved her, and I love you. So I'll give you a choice. And with this choice comes you or her. I need to call someone home. It's you or her." And he opens his eyes. He sees his wife's laying there. And he leans over his wife. He kisses her. He says, "So very long ago, I let you go first." He bumps his head into hers just like they did in the hallway and said, "So long ago, I let you go first," and told her, "I apologize and I'm sorry, but this time I have to go first." So he ends up bumping his head, and the moment they touched heads, the ray of light comes over the screen again. And this time you see the wife is in a chair and you see the husband laid out on a bed. His eyes open for just a second. And she goes, "I'm so sorry." And he goes, "I just hope you know that in this lifetime, and in the next, I will choose you." He doesn't get to explain it. He doesn't get to say what happened. He doesn't get to say what he's been living. The movie kind of leaves it as like, was he sick the whole time or was she sick ever? You know what I'm saying? Like, what really was it? But I think the craziest part about it was you get to see a man give his life to save who he's always loved. The beauty in it is life is about choices, right? Love is about choices, and you have to choose to love. You have to choose to say, every day I'm going to put my best foot forward in picking this other person. I've always said in my next relationship, in my marriage, in my life, if my wife chooses me and I choose my wife, we will forever be okay, right? And to keep it honest with y'all, I made this whole movie up. To keep it honest with y'all, all of this is only how I always envision love. I just wanted to stress this point to you guys that love is a choice. The greatest form of love you can ever give to somebody is you choosing them over your own needs, wants, and demands. You understand what I'm saying? Choose your children, choose family, choose friends, choose your wife, choose your girlfriend, choose your boyfriend, choose the baby daddy, choose the baby mama, choose someone else this time. Because love is an unselfish thing. And if we begin to choose other people more than we chose ourselves, it will be so much more love on this planet. Now, I'm not saying self-love is not one of the most important things on the planet. Sometimes you must stand up for yourself and choose yourself. But if you say you love someone, show them. Choose them in moments that it's difficult. Choose them in moments that it's hard, because love is not always easy, right? And I'm going on record right now, and I right hand of God, dear Mrs. Wiley, whoever you may be, whoever you are, I can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to start a family with you. I'm going to let you know right now, if I see fit that you deserve a ring on your finger, I will forever and always choose you, mama. Those are my vows. Those are written in them before you met me. Those are going to be written in them until the day we die. Listen, I'm so confident in saying I love you now. I'm confident enough in saying that, because love is a choice. And those choices you make now determine all of how the future goes. One day, if I was ever in that position when I had to choose my life or my wife's, without a doubt, my choice without a doubt. I'm going to bump my head against yours and tell you I have to go first this time. Because that's what love is. And I thank each and every single person for always and consistently tuning in to this podcast. I know sometimes I veer off topic. I know sometimes the topic may not be what you want to hear. I know sometimes whatever, but just know I'm grateful for this space. I'm grateful for all you've done for me. I'm grateful for all I've done for others. Love is a choice. And right now, you're writing your own movie of how you chose to love people. And in my movie, I'm constantly going to sacrifice regardless if it hurts or not, because that's what love is to me, What can I tell you? Good things have been happening, man. We released the self-healing journeys. The self-healing journals, that journey begins June 20th. I want everybody to tune in and do their first week entry June 20th, because that's when the summer officially starts. The dating one is coming soon. If y'all still want the dating one, what else can I tell you? My birthday is coming up. My birthday is in approximately 7 days, right? 7 days from now, I'll be 28 years old. When people ask me, I tell them 43, but I'll be 28 years old, and I'm saying this now, but at 28 years old, I promise you, there will be a different level of discipline that I'm forcing myself to oblige by. I am putting this on a record and saying I am going to be the best version of myself from 28 to the rest of my life, because I know my wife is coming and she deserves that. So my future kids are coming and they deserve that. Logan deserves that. So prepare to walk with me on that journey. Thank you for walking with me this far. What else can I tell you? I did a raffle for my birthday. There will be one winner who gets to go see Chris Brown and Usher with me, right? They're going to get to see the 11/11 tour and the past, present, and the future. For the cities, I'm thinking about Vegas and Miami. I want to pick a real good city so when we outside the concert, we can still hang out. But one winner. I cannot stress enough how fortunate I am to be able to do something like that. How fortunate I am to say thank you to people who supported me for so long. But I am. I'm overly thankful, overly grateful, and I'm just lucky to be in this space. I know this may have been a harder, podcast to sit through, but if you learn the lesson of what love is from hearing it, maybe it was easier for you to hear. If you learn the lesson from what love is, I hope you apply that every day going forward. I love you. And Granny, I'm talking to you too if you're watching. I love you from the bottom of my heart. I always will. I will love each and every one of you the exact same way. So thank you very, very much. And what's that shit I be saying? Peace out.
I think it's time I finally try to find myself. I've been running from love, just trying to hide from all this pain I felt. Look, trying not to be the joke in the deck of whatever cards get dealt. They say a star still gotta let them unload.